Hey you guys, Beth Grisati here, and I'm here with my friend.
My name's Nick.
I love that I just throw that on people. So today we're going to make a recipe from allrecipes.com. It is a tofu, the recipe name is really, really long. It's tofu, broccoli, bell pepper with a peanut sauce, and I think that's the longest title ever. So we're just going to call it tofu and broccoli. Yeah. So I have all the information for this listed on my spring pad. This is something new that I started. My friend Heather actually showed me this, and I'm hoping it'll work really, really well with our No Meat Mondays because I want to make all the information really easily accessible for you guys. And it also has a function where you can take all of your recipes and put them on one board and drop it into a shopping list. And John and I are actually going to be using this for our weekly shopping. And I know a lot of you have asked, well, what do you guys typically eat in a week? What do you guys typically eat in a day? So I'm going to put all that information up publicly. That way you guys can see it, and then there won't be any more questions. I'm talking with my hands a lot. I feel like I'm on a cooking show right now with my hands and my talking and my flavors. So we are going to go ahead and get started with this recipe. We're going to show you how to do everything from start to finish, and I will reference you over to a tofu pressing video that I recorded before we started this actual recipe. And that is just so that every week I can be like, hey, if you don't know how to press tofu, go ahead and refer back to this video. Kind of like doing like a basic foundation video or a basic like eyeliner video and you're referring back to it. It's the same concept. So let's go ahead and get started with the recipe, since I'm hogging all of the camera time from Nick. Okay, so the first things we're going to do is chop up our vegetables. There is no wrong or right way to do this. The recipe only calls for a small head of broccoli. This is a large one, so what I'm probably going to do is just cut it in half or take like part of it. And it calls for a red bell pepper, a small red bell pepper. I have like half of a medium large one. Again, this is just like stuff we had, so. Of course I can't open this. Why am I even trying
there
to
are knives everywhere.
I know, why am I trying to open it that way? We're gonna take this guy. Put these other guys back out of the way. Alright, so we're gonna go ahead and wash it first. One tip, if your vegetables are like limp and soggy, you can just wash them under cold water and it'll help crisp them back up. And always wash your fruits and vegetables because just plain water alone gets rid of like 98% of the stuff that would usually be on them. And we're going to go ahead and chop off this massive stem so we don't need that. Broccoli's messy, by the way. And just start cutting off your pieces in bite-sized pieces. When you get something big like this, you're just going to take it up the stem and cut it in half. It's easier to do if you don't hold it up to show the camera. And just keep doing that with all of the pieces. So I'm going to come back when we're done with that. Okay, so when you're cutting up your bell pepper, the easiest way to do it is to cut off the top and then pull out the entire top, which then helps pull out the membranes. But you don't have to cut out your membranes. It's more of an aesthetics than a taste thing. But if you don't like the way the membranes look, just cut them out. It's really easy. You don't want seeds, however. The seeds will definitely change the flavor, so you don't want the seeds. Just go ahead and get that out of my way.
So there.
Why am I tearing it?
Doing that like right by your thumb.
Yeah. Alright. So that was a little bit pepper there. But so now we have no membranes left. We're just going to cut it in strips, and then we're going to cut it across to make smaller bite-sized pieces. If you like strips, you can leave the strips. A lot of Asian cuisine uses like large strips of peppers, and it's delicious, but it is quite a bit of flavor to take in at once. So, that was a terrible cut. So then you're going to take those, turn them sideways like as a pepper, makes it easier. And then just go ahead and, I need a bigger knife than this. I don't know why I'm using this tiny knife. And then you're just going to, that was a big slice. I am not terribly consistent in my slices. I have not been to any sort of cooking school, which kind of helps you with that. But neither of you guys, so we'll just do this together. So yeah, watch your fingertips. typically speaking, you would hold it like that, but I'm not good at holding a group together if I hold it like that. Again, reason 1 million why I'm not a professional cook. So you have, you know, your little bite-sized pieces. I'm gonna go ahead and cut the other piece and then come back. Okay, then we're gonna take 5 mushrooms and you're gonna start off by rinsing them off really, really well because they are going to have dirt on them because they grow in the dirt. Rinse them off really well, make sure you get off all the debris. And then you have 2 options. I personally don't mind mushroom stems, so I just cut them in the head like this. If you don't like them, cut them out first and remove them, but they don't bother me at all. And then you're just gonna take it, and you're gonna slice your mushrooms. You can buy pre-sliced mushrooms if you're really bad at slicing things. I almost did that yesterday, but I wanted a whole bunch of mushrooms, so I just bought bulk, full size.
They stay fresher longer if you don't slice.
Yeah, if they're already sliced, they're not going to stay as fresh as long. It's better to slice things like as you're about to cook it, in general. I'm so bad at this. When I get to the middle is when I'm like, I'm going to cut my fingers off. Alright, so that is 1 mushroom sliced. We have big old pieces. If this is too big for you, just cut it in half and then slice it down. I like big mushroom pieces though, so. Do you like big mushroom pieces?
Yeah.
Okay. Alright, and what I'm doing is I'm taking everything and putting it in a bowl. That way I can throw it in all in together because all these have similar cook times. So, if that way you don't have to worry about cutting really, really fast to try to get everything in the bowl at once. But I'm going to go ahead and repeat this with my other 4 mushrooms. So Nick is finishing up our mushrooms there. This is Nick. I don't know if you guys have met Nick. So this is his kitchen. We're in his kitchen right now.
Yep.
Yep. So our mushrooms are all cut up, so we're gonna get out a pan and start that process. Alright, so your tofu should be done pressing, so we're just gonna take everything off the top. And as you can see, these paper towels are now soaking wet. That's all the water that was in your tofu. So I'm going to go ahead and pass this. Do you know how to cube tofu? I'm going to pass this on over to Nick, and he's going to cut this up into little cubes. It's just like cubing anything else. If you've ever cooked any meat or anything like that, just do it the exact same way. And I am going to get started with our pan here. Okay, so we're going to try this angle and see if you guys can see. We're going to start off by adding like a tablespoon of oil is what I think it calls for. I'm just going to eyeball it. I don't ever measure out oil. It helps if you use a non-stick pan too. And I'm recommending you use canola, or it calls for peanut oil, but I know peanut oil isn't terribly common. Okay, so after that, you're gonna let that warm up. This is a 2-pan recipe, but we're gonna make it all in 1 pan because I think it's stupid.
A tablespoon?
Yeah.
That's like a teaspoon.
Well, it's a non-stick pan. Nick is calling me out of my measurements, so we're gonna add a little more oil because he is insisting that I have not added enough. So I think I'm just weary because if you guys ever see John, well, when you see John cook, you'll see why, because John likes to add half a bottle of oil to every dish we make, and then I end up having to drain everything before we can eat it. So we're just gonna let this heat up, and that's just gonna take a minute. The way to test your oil to see when it's ready, the easiest way to do it, if you're worried about burning something, is to just wait and then add a little bit of water, like a drop, and if it pops but doesn't go like insane, it's warm enough, and if it goes crazy when you drop the water in, it's too hot. So we're just gonna wait for the oil to warm up. Nick has determined that our pan is hot enough by using his wavering hand method. So we're just gonna go ahead and start throwing everything in.
Boom.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to use the full pound of tofu, because that's going to be a lot of tofu.
A lot of stuff in this pan.
Yeah. Isn't it so pretty and colorful? This is what I love about vegetarianism. Everything's pretty. I feel like a lot of meat cooking is just brown.
Yeah.
Just brown all the time.
Or bloody.
Or bloody.
Ew. More?
That should be good. Okay, so we're saving some of our tofu. If you have leftover tofu, all you have to do is cover it with water and change out your water daily until you use it for 5 days.
In like a Tupperware container.
In like a Tupperware container, yeah, or like a covered bowl. And so we are going to start sauteing this. So we'll be back because there's no reason for you guys to stand here and stare at us sauteing. So it was just determined that The Edge of Glory is the official song for this recipe. So we need everyone at home to turn on The Edge of Glory while they're cooking this. And
by Lady Gaga.
By Lady Gaga.
In case there's any confusion.
And put it on repeat. Okay, so after about 5 minutes of sauteing, we're going to start adding the other ingredients. I'm just kind of doing this to taste because I hate measuring, but I'll tell you what they say you're supposed to do. And I'm replacing the vinegar, molasses, and cayenne pepper with this. This is a sweet chili sauce, and it has all 3 of those flavor profiles in it, so it just makes it easier. So we're just going to pretty much dump this all over the vegetables. However, if you can't get a hold of something like this or are more comfortable following the recipe, it will be still listed. That way you guys can see what I'm talking about. And we are going to add, how much soy sauce does it say?
2 tablespoons of soy sauce.
2 tablespoons. So again, we're just going to dump this all over it. I should probably shake this. Always shake your soy sauce really well so nothing has a chance to settle. And then you're going, God, has one of those smart lids in it. It's probably about 2 tablespoons, yeah. It is reducing our heat.
A little bit.
Just a little bit. A spoon. Look at that.
A big spoon?
I don't know where things are in Nick's kitchen. And then it calls for a 1/4 cup of peanut butter. That is about 3 tablespoons, I believe.
1/2 cup of peanut butter.
Oh, well then we're gonna do like 5 tablespoons. These are really big tablespoons, by the way. These are not standard measurement. Okay, whatever. For those of you who are allergic to peanut butter, I apologize. You can easily replace this with a different kind of sauce. It's just the general idea of the sauteed vegetables with the tofu and everything else. How many was that? So 4 or 5? I don't pay attention. I talk too much.
And the little one in there.
The peanut butter's fighting me. You guys can't see it, but it's hilarious. Alright, so then we're just going to get this off of here with the dish, or the utensil we are using to stir. That way we're not wasting a ton of peanut butter. And you're going to start mixing this in. It will melt. Thank you. It will like melt and mix in with everything easier, but you kind of got to spread it out so that it melts faster. And so to start stirring everything all together. At this point, if you are going to make some type of noodle or rice to go with it, now would be a good time to put it on. But you are going to pretty much just like, you already reduced this down, so you're going to reduce down the heat and just kind of let it all simmer together and let the flavors build on each other. Okay, so as you can see, this is starting to get a little bit dry and we need to let it simmer for a minute. So we're going to go ahead and add a little bit of water. The recipe does call for water. We weren't sure if we were going to need it or not, but it looks like we're going to need it. So Nick is going to bring over a 1/2 cup of water and toss it in. When you're adding water, be careful. If your pan's still too high, it'll splash up and burn you, so just be careful. So we're just going to leave this and let it all simmer while we start our noodles. Okay, so to do the noodles, it's actually really, really easy. Nick just pointed out that I was about to do it completely wrong. I'm going to turn on the faucet and get the water hot. Let that run for a second. All you do for this is put in enough for 2 people, put on hot water, and let it sit for 10 minutes. And they cook themselves that way. It's rice noodles. They're a little different than typical like Italian pasta. It works differently, and I'm gonna find something sharp before I break every noodle in this package. This is what they look like, by the way. This is rice noodles. Again, you don't have to add something like this. I just really like noodles with my stuff. So we have our noodles in the pan. As you can see, they retain their shape. Then we're just going to put hot water in here to completely cover, and then put on the lid.
And let it stand for 10 minutes.
And let it stand for 10 minutes, yeah. Okay, so at this point it's pretty much just a waiting game, waiting for your noodles to get done and for your dish to reduce the water just a little bit. So you're just going to let it simmer uncovered and it'll reduce the water. You don't want to let it get too dry though, because that is creating your sauce, and without your sauce your noodles are going to taste really dry. And overall, because it is peanut butter, it will get very, very thick if you let it get too dry. So this is a pretty easy dish, and smells really freaking good.
Smells so delicious.
Everything just smells like delicious peanut butter right now. So again, if you are allergic to peanuts, I'm sorry. I'll definitely do something next week that is nut-free. That way, if you have a nut allergy, you won't have to worry about this. So, as a matter of fact, if you guys have a specific request for next week, go ahead and put it in the down bar below. But get your entries in really quickly because we're probably going to record it tomorrow. So, alright, I will talk to you guys soon, and we will be back at the end with pictures of the dish.
Yum.
Bye. Our rice noodles are done, and Nick is using his handy dandy like serving chopsticks dealy to serve it out.
They're tongs, I think.
Are they tongs?
I would call them tongs.
I would call them serving chopsticks because
Well,
that sounds more fun. So he's just putting the rice noodles in a bowl, and then we're gonna top it with the deliciousness. Have you guys ever noticed that sautés and curries always look so gross? Have you ever noticed that?
Yeah.
Sautés and curries always look disgusting. Alright, now for pictures.